Hello, dear students. So, today we will discuss the first chapter of your syllabus, which discusses about the living world. So, the first few chapters of your biology subject are dedicated to the first unit, which is diversity in the living world or the diversity in the living systems. Okay, so here we will appreciate the diversity or the richness of various life forms. That means whatever different kinds of organisms, be it very small organisms, be it very simple organisms which can just survive on a one chemical under just very minimum requirements, or a very complex organism which can synthesize a complex set of the molecules or drugs or medicines, or different kinds of the beautiful creatures. All these living organisms actually they constitute the diversity in the living system. In the first unit, first first of all we will be discussing certain properties, certain features of the living world. What is the meaning of the living system or the living world or life? Then we will see that how diverse or how what kind of the different organisms, different complexities exists in the living world. Then if we want to study millions of the species of different kinds of the organisms, maybe plants or animals or microscopic organisms. So we should employ certain systematic ways, certain tools, and certain methodologies in a systematic way so that we can focus on them and we can study them in a detailed way in a proper scientific manner. Okay, so these basic uh, technical things about what is the feature or what is it which makes an organism a living, then what are different ways, what are different methods to study them, and how this information can be preserved, can be categorized, can be uh, studied. So these things we will study in this chapter. Then in the next chapter we will study about the biological classification. That means these several hundreds of millions of the species which exist on earth or which have existed, how different scientists have categorized them, because as we know that many of the organisms have huge number of the similarities. So based on this certain similarities or based on the differences, we can categorize these individuals, these specimens of the plants or animals of different kinds, and then we can assign certain collective features or certain common properties to them so that it becomes easy for us to understand about them and to make a comprehensive uh, view in our mind. Okay, so we will study the biological classification. Then we will study in the third chapter about the plant kingdom. That means we will go into a detailed aspect of different kinds of the plants which exist on earth, the very simple plants which just can photosynthesize, and by merely seeing probably you will say that they are not a species of plant. So various kinds of the beautiful plants, be it microscopic or the bigger plants, and with different kinds of the characteristics and properties, those things we will study in the plant kingdom. Sorry. Then we will study the in the fourth chapter of the diversity in the living world. We will study the animal kingdom, where we will appreciate these dozens of the categories which we call as phylum of the animal kingdoms. So if we say animals, then what are the characteristics which define animals from other living organisms? Then how these animals are differing from each other, and how we can group them together based on certain similarities or differences? What are their salient features or characteristics? How different organisms are related to each other? For examples, all the mammals are related to each other, and these reptiles are related to each other, but mammals and reptiles, they all are chordates, right? So these things we will study in more details, that what are different categories and how we can make sense out of them, how we can appreciate the huge uh, gift of the nature which is present in the form of living world, and which maintains the ecological balance so that the life can happily sustain for us in this world. Okay, so all these things we will be discussing. So we will start our lecture with the first chapter, which is the living world. So here, let me tell you first that biology is actually a very interesting subject. Only thing is that you have to develop an aptitude, you have to develop a way to appreciate the living organisms. If you see a particular organism, for example, if you see an elephant and you start pondering about it, that why or how its different features have come up, why certain organisms are so large but certain other organisms are so small, why its ears are so unique, what is the purpose of the trunk, and how this trunk has arrived or evolved. So if you start asking right questions, if you start looking at the living beings or living creatures which are around us in a systematic way, biology is a very interesting subject, and it is a very satisfying subject, and it's very easy also. However, if you just want to uh, लर्न इट बाय हार्ट, अगर आप ये सोचो कि हम जस्ट रट्टा मार लेंगे, ठीक है, हम जस्ट इसको एक बार नॉवेल की तरह पढ़ते चले जाएंगे और हमारी समझ में आ जाएगा, then it becomes a little bit difficult. So you have to develop certain skills, you have to develop certain ways inside you so that you, you can appreciate the living world. And then if you can ask right questions, if you can see the details in the living systems with a logical or rational frame of mind, then biology really becomes a very interesting subject. Okay, some people feel that biology is not an interesting subject, but let me assure you that biology is such an interesting subject that you don't have to remember anything. Everything will be uh, just collected, or everything will set in your mind if you start appreciating the way it should be appreciated. Okay, the great scientists of the biological world are the great uh, scientists or doctors, or those who have given uh, these useful theories. They never did रोट लर्निंग। ओके, उन्होंने कभी भी रट्टा मारने की कोशिश नहीं की। उन्होंने बस चीज़ों को समझा, उसको एक सही पर्सपेक्टिव में देखा और उसको एक सही तरीके से एनालाइज किया, सही क्वेश्चंस पूछे, और उसकी वजह से फिर वो उनके दिमाग में, उनके माइंड में लेयर बाय लेयर एक प्रॉपर तरीके से सेट होता चला गया। So I urge you all, my dear students, that before starting this subject, you should make up your mind that biology is a very interesting subject. You have to first develop certain kinds of the skills, certain kinds of the ways, so that you can appreciate the living systems, you can appreciate the biological subject, and then it becomes really very easy for you. You don't have to uh, learn by heart, or don't have to do rote learning for most of the things. Okay, for few things you may need rote learning, but if you do a repeated learning, those things will come automatically to you as well, and you may not need to do uh, uh, rote one after another. So okay, now let us focus and let us come to appreciate about the living systems. So actually, I apologize to you for not being able to provide a very good quality video, because because of the lockdown and because of the this uncertain situation, we are caught up with such kind of situation that we are not able to do our best because of the lack of the resources. So we are trying to provide uh, best information using the minimum resources whatever we have available here with you. So now let us come to the topic of the living world. So what constitutes the subject of biology or the living world? So as you all know, the living organism is the center, or it is the central focus, central object of the subject of biology. That means biology is nothing but it is a study of life forms and living processes. It is nothing but it is a story of life, or a story of living organisms which have lived or which are living on earth. Okay, so whatever study you are making about the living organisms, about the life forms and their activities, their processes, their different features and characteristics, all these things are included under the subject of the biology. Okay, so if you take a certain living organism, what you have to do? If you observe this living organism, you have to give certain description. You If you want to appreciate, or if you want to tell somebody about this living organism, what you have to do? You have to be able to describe this organism. For example, if you go to a zoo and you see a camel, and you want to describe to your friend that you went to zoo and you saw a camel, what you will do? If you have seen camel in a systematic way, if you have appreciated the camel, then once you come back to your friend, then you can describe, you can discuss, and you can give a detailed description of the camel. So that means the description of the living organism is the first thing to the study of the living organisms. First of all, you have to describe that organism. Okay, then once you have described, the person will have a little bit feeling that okay, camel is a this kind of organism, but still it may not be enough. So what you have to do? You have to give certain analogy, you have to tell certain similarities or certain differences. You have to tell that okay, camel is more like a cattle and less like a rat, right? Thus the person who has never seen a camel, how you will describe it to that person? You have to tell that okay, it is more like a cattle, it has four legs like a cow, but the legs are much longer. Okay, its uh, its hoofs, its feet is not like a cattle's feet, but it's different, and it is more adapted for walking or running on the sand. If a cow or if a horse wants to walk on the sand, it will be little bit difficult, but for camel it is easier. So in this way you have to give the detailed description. That means if you tell the similarities of one organism with another organism, if you tell the differences, if you are able to give description, then you are enriching your knowledge, you are able to better appreciate and study the biological system or the living organism, right? So the recognition of sharing of similarities, recognition of similarities among different organisms, recognition of different kinds of the contrasting features become the key element to study a living organism, right? बहुत इजी चीज़ें हैं, देखिए आप बिल्कुल आराम से इसको तो अपने दिमाग से सोचते हुए और समझते हुए इमेजिन करते हुए चलिए, इट बिकम्स ए रियली वेरी इजी थिंग। ओके, नाउ अब कैमल के एग्जाम्पल से हम दूसरी तरफ आते हैं। एक हम जनरल क्वेश्चन अगर पूछें कि व्हाट इज़ लाइफ, तो हमारे दिमाग में सबसे पहले क्या आता है कि लाइफ का मतलब क्या है, लाइफ का मीनिंग क्या है, व्हाट इज़ लिविंग, राइट? तो टेक्निकली व्हाट इज़ द मीनिंग ऑफ ए लिविंग is one aspect of this question. Another aspect is what is the purpose of a life, what is the purpose of uh, what is the purpose of our life or our existence. That becomes more philosophical question, but this also comes when somebody asks to you that what is life, right? But we are not dealing with the philosophical questions in the subject of biology, because biology is a natural science. Okay, as you all know that biology, physics, chemistry, geology, these are the natural sciences. Okay, so here we just study the organisms or the uh, things which are available to us by the way of natural existence, and you want to know and study their details and their properties, their features, etc. But we are not going to give any philosophical or any assumptive or story like information or story like tales uh, in the study of the natural sciences. In the natural sciences we see the facts, we see what is the thing which is available to us, which we can see, which we can test, which we can do experiment on, and then we can make certain theories or certain useful informations can be deducted, right? So if we want to study life, if we want to know what is life, what we have to do, we have to take the living organisms and we have to study their characteristics, we have to study their features. So now let us see what are the characteristics which define a particular living organism, or what are the defining characteristics of the living organisms, right? So the characteristic features which define a living organisms are many. Like an organism, if you take a dog or if you take a human, you can see that it is born and then it grows from a small one to an adult one. So growth is a very essential feature of the living organism, and then it produces offsprings or progeny of its own kind. That means it reproduces, it does reproduction. So reproduction is another feature, and then it carries out its all the daily activities, like if it eats food it gets digested, and it urinates, its heart keeps on pumping. That means it is performing its metabolic activities. So the certain chemical reactions, certain uh, chemistry aspects are also there inside each living organism, which we will come in a systematic way very shortly. And then for each living organism there is a unique definite structure. Okay, and each living organism is made of a unit called as cell. So the cellular organization is also essential for the living organism. And then all the living organisms can grow, they can multiply or reproduce, they do metabolism, they have a basic level of the cellular organization, and also they have the ability to sense the environment. If an organism, be it a very simple organism or a complex organism, is sitting at a place, it will be able to sense its environment. For example, if you are sitting on a sunny day, after some time you will start feeling the scorching sunlight. Then you would like to go under the shade. That means you are able to sense the environment. The same thing happens with other organisms. If something bad uh, to their body, or if something harmful comes to them, they will start distracting from them, or they keep start moving from that. So they will sense the environment, they will sense the danger, or they will sense the good things or favorable things present in the environment. They will be able to sense where is the food, and they will get attracted towards the food, and then they will respond to that. That means if it is good thing, they would like to have it, or they would like to feel it. If it is a bad thing, they will try to flee away from it, right? So in this way, there are certain characteristic features which are observed in the uh, living systems, in the living organisms, and using these characteristic features, you can distinguish a living from a non-living. Okay, so when we ask the question that what is life, we essentially wanted to distinguish between a living organism and a non-living thing. Or in other words, we can say we also want to distinguish a living organism or animate matter from inanimate or dead matter, right? लिविंग ऑर्गेनिज्म और इनएनिमेट मैटर में क्या डिफरेंस है, हमें इसकी डिफिनीशन चाहिए, हम इसको अंडरस्टैंड करना चाहते हैं. नाउ लेट अस सी दीज पॉइंट्स इन डिटेल वन बाय वन. अगर हम ग्रोथ की बात करें, ठीक है, तो ग्रोथ हैपेंस in the living organisms, but there are certain non-living things also which grow. For example, a mountain grows, or a sand dune grows, right? Or if you might have seen these heaps of small uh, and these house-like structure, or certain unique structures for the small termites, or the certain organisms are there in the fields which keep on building certain things, right? So the soil keeps on collecting and it keeps on growing, right? और उसको क्या बाम्बी कुछ ऐसे करके बोलते हैं हिंदी में. तो दैट इज ऑल्सो ए ग्रोथ. But what is unique for the living organisms is that living organisms grow from inside. However, the non-living organisms grow by deposition over the surface one after another. So this kind of the growth which happens by accumulation of material on the surface, this is called as accretion. So accumulation of materials on the surface is called as accretion, and this is a feature of the non-living or inanimate matter. But for the living organisms, the growth happens from the inside. That means the body will grow proportionately. The growth will not be only on the surface. If a child is growing into adult human, not only is his skin or his bone is growing, rather all of his organs are growing in a proportionate way. His size of his heart is also growing, his kidney is also growing, his limbs are growing, his head is growing a little bit, okay, then his fingers are also growing. So that means there is a overall growth, and the growth is from inside the body, not only a superficial deposition of the material, right? So this is how growth is observed in the both living as well as non-living, but the growth in the living is different from the growth in the non-living. Now growth can happen by two ways. The growth can happen by increase in the mass or volume, and growth can also happen by increase in number of individuals. If there was one dog, after some time there are 10 dogs in the village, that means the there is a growth in the dog population. The number of dogs has increased and the size of the dog has increased. That means the mass or weight of the dog also has increased. So this is also indicative of the growth. And biological organisms show or display the property of the growth. Now let us come to the reproduction. Reproduction can be of two types: sexual reproduction or asexual reproduction. Okay, asexual reproduction involves only a single parent. However, sexual reproduction involves two parents of the opposite gender or the opposite sex. That means one male and one female uh, organism has to participate for the sexual reproduction. However, for asexual reproduction, only one parent is enough, and the offsprings which are produced by the asexual reproduction will be similar to the parent. But in the sexual reproduction, there will be variations, and the offspring will be overall similar, but it will not be exactly similar, or it will not be the morphologically and genetically uh, identical to the parents. Okay, so if we take some examples, then fungi, as you all know, fungus को हम प्लूरल जो है में फंजाई बोलते हैं. So fungi reproduce by asexual spores, yeast and hydra. So hydra is a living animal. It's an animal, it's an organism. Yeast you already know. So yeast and hydra, they reproduce by budding. Okay, the budding happens from the cell in the yeast. There will be a large cell, and then it will give certain small buds. Let me draw it for you over here. So if this is a cell of the yeast, what will happen? This cell will develop a small bud like structure, and this bud will grow and then detach from this, and it will develop into a new organism. This is how it buds. So they may reproduce by the budding. Then fungi, filamentous algae and mosses and planaria is an organism. They reproduce by fragmentation. So all these things we will be studying again in detail in the coming chapters. Like we will study in more detail about the planaria, which is also called the flatworm. So what happens in the fragmentation is that the body of the organism gets broken into several pieces, and each piece of that body can give rise to a new organism, and this phenomena of the reproduction is called as fragmentation. So fragmentation is observed by fungi, and there are many species of the algae, the green algae. These are kind of the primitive plants. So these filamentous algae and the mosses, these are also very primitive plants. And the planaria is an animal. They all show the fragmentation mode of the reproduction. So reproduction is a very common and very essential feature of the living organisms. All living organisms reproduce. Okay, all living species reproduce. However, there may be certain organisms which may not reproduce. For example, mules. म्यूल्स आप लोग सब लोग जानते हैं, म्यूल्स खच्चर को बोलते हैं. तो म्यूल्स आर स्टेराइल, सो दैट इज वाई दे आर नॉट एबल टू रिप्रोड्यूस. ओके, सिमिलरली वर्कर बीज, जो हनी बी होता है उसके पॉपुलेशन में वर्कर बीज होते हैं. वर्कर बीज ऑल्सो आर स्टेराइल, दे कैन नॉट रिप्रोड्यूस. और सर्टेन ह्यूमन कपल्स आर ऑल्सो देयर हु आर नॉट एबल टू प्रोड्यूस द offspring, who are not able to produce the child. That means they are also not able to reproduce, but that doesn't mean that human is not doing reproduction. These are certain exceptions. So certain exceptions to the reproduction might exist, but नो नॉन लिविंग विल परफॉर्म द रिप्रोडक्शन। अगर नॉन लिविंग है तो उसमें रिप्रोडक्शन पॉसिबल ही नहीं है, क्योंकि रिप्रोडक्शन में क्या होता है, द ऑर्गेनिज्म हैज़ टू प्रोड्यूस ए न्यू और यंग ऑर्गेनिज्म और यंग वन सिमिलर टू इटसेल्फ, यानी उसको अपना रेप्लिका, अपने तरह की एक कॉपी को प्रोड्यूस करना है, एंड दैट इज़ नॉट पॉसिबल, दैट इज़ नॉट डन बाय द नॉन लिविंग और इनएनिमेट मैटर और इनएनिमेट ऑब्जेक्ट्स. So reproduction is an essential feature of all living organisms. However, if an organism is not doing reproduction, it does not mean that it is not a living organism. Just like if anything which is growing does not mean that it is a living organism. The growth can happen in non-living organisms also. So if you understand these concepts, then you can appreciate that okay, this growth and reproduction, they are required for the living organisms. They are the collective features. They help us to distinguish living from the non-living, but they may be observed under different conditions. For example, growth may be observed by living as well as non-living. Reproduction will be observed, will be seen in the living organisms, but it does not mean that if an organism is not doing reproduction, it is not a living organism. So you have to clearly understand and demarcate these small points, which are not difficult to understand, right? Then comes the metabolism. What is metabolism? Let me tell you or explain it to you in a very simple terms. As you all know, whatever exists on this earth is made up of certain small constituent units called as atoms, right? And they are called as elements. As you all know, there are more than 100 elements, right? This periodic table shows these elements, right? So these elements constitute the entire world, including the living organisms. So these elements interact with each other and make chemicals. So again, all the things are made up of the chemicals. Whatever is there, everything is chemical. So the living organisms also have so many chemicals, and these chemicals are diverse. These chemicals may be small in size, they may be in big in size, they may be simple chemicals, they may be very complex chemicals, and these chemicals may be of various sizes, various classes, or they may have various functions. So all these chemicals present in the biological world or in the organisms are called as biochemicals. Okay, biochemicals, or we may also call them as biomolecules. Okay, so the chemicals of the biological system or biochemicals or biomolecules, actually they keep converting from one form of the biomolecule to another form of the biomolecule. For example, glucose will be converted to some other molecule like pyruvate, and it will generate some energy, and that molecule will again get converted into some other molecule. So similarly, all the molecules whichever are present in our body, they all are called as biomolecule, and they are not constant, they are not static, rather they keep on converting from one chemical, from one biomolecule to another biomolecule. That means many chemical reactions, or we can say many biochemical reactions, keep on occurring in our body. So ये जो भी बायोकेमिकल रिएक्शंस हमारे बॉडी में होती हैं, all the chemical reactions occurring inside a living system are called as metabolism. Okay, so metabolism क्या होता है? Sum total of all the chemical reactions occurring in the body of an organism is called as metabolism. जितने भी रिएक्शंस है वो सब को एक साथ आप मिला लो तो उस सबको, पूरे प्रोसेस को आप बोलोगे मेटाबॉलिज्म. ओके, सो मेटाबॉलिज्म इज ए वेरी एसेंशियल एंड डिफाइनिंग फीचर ऑफ द लिविंग ऑर्गेनिज्म. विदाउट मेटाबॉलिज्म लाइफ इज नॉट पॉसिबल. ओके, and metabolism essentially takes place in the living organisms only. If you take a non-living organism, we will not call it metabolism, rather we will call it a chemical reaction, right? So chemical reactions inside a living organism only are called as metabolism. तो एक कोई chemical reaction हो रहा है जो लिविंग सिस्टम के अंदर है तो उसको मेटाबॉलिज्म बोलेंगे। अगर वही केमिकल रिएक्शन लिविंग सिस्टम के बाहर टेस्ट ट्यूब में कर रहे हो आप, तो दैट इज ए नॉन लिविंग रिएक्शन। ओके, नाउ तो मेटाबॉलिक रिएक्शंस जो हैं इनको अगर आउटसाइड ऑफ द बॉडी होते हैं तो हम इनको बोलते हैं इन विट्रो, यानी अगर टेस्ट ट्यूब के अंदर हो रहे हैं आइसोलेटेड मेटाबॉलिक रिएक्शंस तो उसको इन विट्रो रिएक्शंस बोलते हैं। सो मेटाबॉलिक रिएक्शंस इन विट्रो जो होती हैं दे आर नॉट लिविंग थिंग्स। ओके, अगर कोई आप ग्लूकोज का कन्वर्जन एनर्जी के प्रोडक्शन के लिए करना है, अगर हमारी बॉडी में हो रहा है तो हम उसको लिविंग थिंग बोलेंगे, उसको लिविंग मैटर लिविंग सिस्टम का पार्ट बोलेंगे। बट अगर हमारी बॉडी से बाहर टेस्ट ट्यूब में अगर आप ग्लूकोज का कन्वर्जन करा रहे हो एनर्जी प्रोडक्शन के लिए, देन यू कैन कॉल इट एज ए लिविंग रिएक्शन, बट सर्टेनली इट इज़ नॉट ए लिविंग सिस्टम। ओके, इट इज़ नॉट ए लिविंग थिंग। तो ये एक थोड़ा सा टेक्निकल डिफरेंस है, टेक्निकल पॉइंट है जो आप ध्यान रखिए। Then comes the cellular organization, as we already have seen that all the organisms are made up of the small units called as cells. So all the living organisms have the basic organization made up of the cells. So that means we all have cellular organization. All the organisms have the cellular organization, and cellular organization and metabolism, they are the defining features of the लिविंग ऑर्गेनिजम्स। डिफाइनिंग फीचर्स ऑफ द लिविंग ऑर्गेनिजम्स का मतलब ये हुआ कि अगर सेलुलर ऑर्गेनाइजेशन है और अगर मेटाबॉलिज्म हो रहा है, इसका मतलब वो चीज़ लिविंग ऑर्गेनिज्म ही होगी। ग्रोथ हो रहा है किसी चीज़ में, इसका मतलब ज़रूरी नहीं कि वो लिविंग ऑर्गेनिज्म हो। रिप्रोडक्शन हो रहा है किसी चीज़ में तो वो लिविंग ऑर्गेनिज्म होगी। नॉन लिविंग में रिप्रोडक्शन नहीं होगा, लेकिन अगर रिप्रोडक्शन नहीं हो रहा है तो भी वो लिविंग ऑर्गेनिज्म हो सकती है, राइट। लेकिन अगर मेटाबॉलिज्म हो रहा है तो सर्टेनली वो लिविंग ऑर्गेनिज्म होगा, मेटाबॉलिज्म नहीं हो रहा है तो लिविंग ऑर्गेनिज्म नहीं होगा। सेलुलर ऑर्गेनाइजेशन है तो लिविंग ऑर्गेनिज्म होगा, सेलुलर ऑर्गेनाइजेशन के विदाउट लिविंग ऑर्गेनिज्म पॉसिबल नहीं है। ओके, तो इसलिए इसको सेलुलर ऑर्गेनाइजेशन को और मेटाबॉलिज्म, ये दोनों को डिफाइनिंग फीचर्स ऑफ लिविंग ऑर्गेनिज्म बोलते हैं। दिस इज़ अ वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट पॉइंट एंड यू शुड रिमेंबर दिस पॉइंट्स। नाउ द लास्ट पॉइंट विच वी वांट टू डिस्कस हियर इन योर सिलेबस, there are actually various points in addition to these points also, but here we are discussing only the important points which are in part of your syllabus. Okay, so the last point is the ability to sense the environment. That means the consciousness. If a bacteria is lying and if there is a hot water, what will happen? The bacteria will try to flee away from that area. That means it will sense and it will respond. So all the organisms will sense, they will be conscious of their environment and they will respond according to the need of their body and according to the situation in the environment. So ability to sense the environment is also unique to the living organism. However, it is not a defining feature of the living organism. And ability to sense environment is a characteristic of the living organisms. That means the consciousness is the characteristic of living organisms, but consciousness about oneself, यानी खुद अपने बारे में कॉन्शियस होना या अपने बारे में चीज़ों को सेंस कर पाना और उसके बारे में कुछ एनालाइज कर पाना, दिस इज़ कॉल्ड ए सेल्फ कॉन्शियसनेस, एंड सेल्फ कॉन्शियसनेस इज़ प्रेजेंट ओनली इन द ह्यूमन. So human is aware of himself. That means human has the property of the self-consciousness, but not all organisms are having the self-consciousness ability. But consciousness or ability to sense and respond is the property of the living organisms. So now using all these features, if you see these features in the organisms, in certain things, then you can say that okay, this particular thing is having all these characteristic features. That means now you can identify very clearly in a very systematic way based on these characteristic features, based on these salient features of the organisms, that whether you want to classify it into a living organism or it is a non-living matter, it is non-living organism or it is a dead organism. Okay, so now we will stop here today and we will discuss about more things about this chapter in the next lecture. I request you all, my dear students, to listen the lecture very carefully, try to understand it. If you have any doubt, feel free to ask your doubts in the message, and keep noting the important points, because these important points, if you note down in your notebook in a neat and clean way, this will help you in the revision. And whenever you are going to recap your chapter, then it will become very handy to you, and you will be able to write nice and smart answers in your board exams, and it will help in your learning. So that's why I request you all to uh, uh, to make note of, or to note down the important points which I have listed over here in the notebook. Moreover, whatever I have discussed, if you feel that certain points are important and it should be noted down, you will not be able to remember it, then please note down those points as well. Okay, so I wish you all a happy learning, and wish you all the best. Thank you.